Meet Hayes Lisbon and his sister Ray, the fallen heirs of a once noble bloodline. A brutal war and a crushing recession stripped them of every scrap of dignity. They inherited nothing but their father's mountain of soul-crushing debt. With a broken mother and a brother scammed into poverty, their world completely shattered. Cast out into the cold with no roof overhead, they became desperate wanderers. Hayes promises Ray a royal future, swearing to reclaim the glory they once lost. Mother will hold her head high again, he vows, ignoring Ray's hollow, weary gaze. Ray flinches, her soft yes sounding more like a plea for mercy. Deep in the wilderness, Hayes mocks the remote manor, a noble house in exile. Expect a peasant's welcome, he sneers, while Ray warns him to guard his tongue. He insists on his brutal honesty, but Ray begs for silence before their hosts. Their bickering turns sharp, and Ray blames her illiteracy on his selfish, domineering pride. He raises a hand. Ray cowers, all too familiar with his violent, explosive temper. Gazing through the glass, she feels a suffocating weight, wishing the rain could wash away her mounting dread. Upon arrival, Hayes erupts in fury when the driver refuses to brave the storm. Ray pleads for shelter, but Hayes only spits venomous threats at the departing carriage. They approach the grand estate, Hayes hammering at the gates like a desperate king. Ray fears they are unwelcome, until a mysterious figure emerges from the gray mist. Catching sight of the man, Hayes feels a deathly chill, stammering his name while demanding to see the master. He fumbles through his belongings, searching for the letter, their only hope for survival. The master knows no Lisbons, the butler coldly retorts. Leave this place at once. Ray steps forward, offering the letter and pleading for a shred of noble compassion. After a piercing, silent judgment, the butler finally ushers the two strays inside. Hayes shamelessly demands luxury, while the butler's strange focus shifts entirely toward Ray. I must see the master, Ray insists, sensing the house's heavy, predatory atmosphere. In those filthy rags? The man asks, eyeing her rugged and travel-worn appearance. She begs him to deliver the letter, even as the scent of food entices her. Suddenly, the master descends the stairs, licking his lips as he devours Ray's beauty. The butler introduces the guests, presenting the letter that will change their lives forever. The master reads the name, 𝑣𝒂𝒂𝒔𝒕, a ghost from a long-forgotten past. Hayes grovels, explaining their grandfather's ancient ties to this dark, powerful household. We seek only temporary refuge, Hayes pleads, unaware of the price they might pay. The master cuts him off, his gaze burning into Ray. Is she unattached? Is this destiny or a trap? He stalks toward her, his presence utterly overwhelming. When she confirms she is single, he grins. Stay as long as you like. I am 𝑣𝒂𝒂𝒔𝒕, he reveals. A week passes, and the rain never stops. Within the castle walls, the sun vanished, and the bond between the siblings began to rot and wither. Even Hayes, once full of fire, slowly lost his spark in the manor's gloom. The house ignored his every whim, serving only the master's hidden, darker desires. Hayes grew bitter. Only 4 cold servants haunted the halls, including Lady Mary, Philip the butler, Jack the groom, and the gardener in the lonely annex. Aside from them, the manor was a tomb, unfriendly, frozen, and filled with secrets. To them, Hayes was nothing more than discarded street trash. His pride couldn't stomach the insults, but 𝒂𝒂𝒔𝒕, the manor's fastidious master, was the true enigma. Though he provided shelter, his hospitality felt like a cold, hollow shell. He appeared composed, yet an invisible wall kept everyone at a chilling distance. At their first breakfast, he delivered a bone-chilling decree. Stay off the 3rd floor. Hayes secured a risky business deal with 𝒂𝒂𝒔𝒕, plunging himself into a whirlwind of work. With Hayes constantly away, Rai became a lonely ghost haunting the castle's silent corridors. Her brother was a brilliant graduate with a glittering web of high society connections. His arrogance was immense, yet his vibrant spirit drew people like moths to a flame. But Rai felt adrift on a desolate island, surrounded by a manor's deathly, unnerving silence. Her days were spent staring blankly out windows, watching a world she no longer belonged to. Surprisingly, this isolation brought her peace, a quiet sanctuary she had desperately craved for years. Here, no ruthless debt collectors would ever storm through the doors at midnight. No nagging mother or backstabbing cousins, just a serene, trouble-free existence in the shadows. A strange woman eventually approached her, offering a blanket, but Rai politely declined the gesture. The woman didn't move, she just stood there, her gaze drilling into Rai's very soul. Rai finally spoke up, prompting the woman to sneer. What is a girl like you doing here? Here? Rai blinked. The woman whispered that Rai was still untainted by this place's darkness. She hissed a warning. Run, for the monsters in this manor hunger to swallow you whole. Clutched by the hand, Rai heard a grim prophecy of dead parents and her brother's ruin. This castle is cursed, she rasped. Accept nothing from them, not even a drop of water. Avoid their eyes, the woman warned. And never, ever let them claim your heart. As Rai thrashes against the woman's iron grip, a chilling, desperate question hangs in the air. Do you wish to share my fate? She warns that the beast's eyes are fixed on Rai. Suddenly, the master's icy voice rings out, reprimanding the woman for scaring their lovely visitor. Shaking, she retreats, whispering a final plea for Rai to guard herself against the master's darkness. Rai stammers an apology, but he merely questions why she dared approach his forbidden third floor. He enjoys her beauty from afar, but he desires a much closer look. He commands her to join him, promising an unforgettable evening. Rai's hands tremble against the drapes. She recalls his warning to stay away, but he only teases, "Are you trying to seduce me?" Seeing her hesitation, he reaches out his hand, beckoning his captive prey to come closer. Stepping into his world, Rai finds herself surrounded by ancient artifacts, where time seems to have died. They walk until they reach the final door. With a smirk, Chloe ushers her into the unknown. In this windowless cage, his heavy, masculine scent wraps around her like an inescapable velvet shroud. Acrid cigar smoke dances with a strange, youthful purity that makes her heart skip a beat. Enjoying yourself? He purrs. Flustered, she quickly praises the room's cold, meticulous perfection. His hand suddenly claims hers, whispering that he only keeps his favorite treasures in this room. She stares at the pages in silence, paralyzed by the secret that she cannot read. Chloe's deep voice shatters her trance, demanding to know if she recognizes the tale. She fidgets nervously while questioning his taste, but he senses her strange avoidance of the pages. Does he find her childish? Little does he know the truth, she is blind to the written word. With his powerful frame looming over her, fear transforms into a sudden, intoxicating urge to lean in and taste his forbidden lips. Rai summons her courage, asking the beast to read aloud. With a dark grin, he accepts. But the reality shatters her expectations. She thought he would merely sit by her side. Instead, she is pulled onto his lap, trapped in his possessive arms. Her heart hammers wildly. He strokes her hair and kisses her neck, commanding his little captive to be patient. Trembling, she finally admits this position makes her very uncomfortable. He demands to know how, yet her trembling excuse only fuels his dangerous and unrelenting predatory gaze. Tightening his possessive hold, he mocks her, claiming she is the one truly unable to stay focused. Rai battles her guilt, yet this forbidden yearning makes her crave his dark, overwhelming touch even more. Suddenly, a voice shatters the tension. Hayes has returned, seeking the master in the hall downstairs. Terror consumes Rai's soul. Her brother must never witness her, trapped in this beast's sinful embrace. Sensing her brother's presence in the castle, she hopes for rescue, but Clin's possessive grip only tightens, trapping her in his dark embrace. The messenger waits in trembling silence for the master's cold and final command. They suggest turning Hayes away, but the master's cold voice rings out, declaring he'll arrive shortly. Rai tries to flee his side, but his grip tightens as he offers a book, questioning if she dislikes his gift. "What's not to like?" she lies, desperately hiding the shameful fact that she cannot read a single word. The rain finally stops as they step outside. Chloe watches her, asking if she favors the sun's warmth. She affirms his question, and the beast demands to know why the warmth matters to her. She says sunlight brings sweet dreams, before daring to turn the same question back to the cold master. Before he can answer, a sharp voice cuts through the air. Hayes is here, and he sounds furious. "Why were you in there?" Hayes roars, screaming that she's being incredibly rude to their host. He rants that her stupidity will ruin them, until Chloe's icy voice silences him with a single, threatening question. Chloe marks his territory, revealing he was the one who summoned Rai to lend her a book. A book for an illiterate fool? Hayes shrieks, exposing her secret to the world. His cruel words pierce through Rai's heart, yet she masks her pain, having grown used to her brother's constant venom. But the humiliation is far from over. He barks a command for her to descend, mocking her audacity for supposedly deceiving the formidable Lord Cloden. This time, his malice shatters her. Trembling and drowned in tears, Rai flees to her room, slamming the door against the world's cruelty. She finds no comfort in storybooks because, for a girl like her, there are no fairy godmothers or magic, only the suffocating weight of reality and endless sorrow. Days bleed into one another until a knock echoes. Lady Mary arrives, carrying a tray of medicine and hope. Rai whispers her thanks, but notices the older woman lingering in the shadows. After a heavy silence, Mary notes she's been bedridden for 3 days. Is it Master Klin's doing? Ray quickly blames her own weakness. She hid like a wounded animal, feeling utterly worthless. Yet, Mary sees the hidden scars of her difficult journey. Ray is left dazed as Mary drops a cryptic hint. Can't she see the raw, predatory power in Master Klin's massive frame? She bluntly reveals that men built like beasts are often just as formidable in the bedroom. Shock paralyzes Ray. Memories of the secret room flood back the heat, the tension, and the unmistakable pressure of his desire. Mary explains that the Master has changed since their private encounter, urging Ray to understand the beast's new obsession. Realizing the misunderstanding, Ray desperately clarifies that nothing scandalous happened between her and the dangerous Lord Cloden. But Mary scoffs. No powerful man invests his fortune without a personal interest in the prize. He only funded Hayes because he intends to claim Ray as his own. This revelation chills her. If the business fails, will the Lord cast them out into the cold? Mary offers a dark smile, assuring her that the Master would never let go of his investment. He never accepts a loss. In this game of possession, Ray is the one who will eventually want to run. Stunned, Ray asks if Mary even likes her master. Mary simply sighs. A servant's opinion doesn't matter in this house. Ray then recalls the warnings of Della, the woman who spoke of the darkness lurking within him. Lady Mary reveals a chilling secret. The nanny is the Master's only bridge to the world outside. She whispers bitterly, "Perhaps being far from this manor is the only true blessing. Accept this fate. Cloen is yours. Destiny has finally called. Stay hidden. The shadows are rising." Curiosity lures Rai into his lair. Her dormant heart finally screams. Fevered dreams of her dark master. A twisted obsession, isn't it? She hunts for his elusive presence. Suddenly, pained groans echo behind the door. She witnesses his primal, beastly hunger. He demands her immediate departure. Forgiveness dies on her lips. Exiled, she reels from his aura. Despair crushes her fragile spirit. Is illiteracy her greatest sin? She storms back, seeking truth. His voice drops. Why so late? She confesses her shameful secret. He claims her, disregarding all else. He knew her game all along. Trapped, he demands her total surrender. A kiss seals her fate forever. He whispers of her haunting beauty. Those words shatter her world. Affection her family never gave. Hayes wanders the rain, defeated. A stranger warns of the castle. Hayes scoffs at the beggar's omen. The path leads to certain doom. He ignores the farmer's warning. His world is slowly rotting. Ruin follows his every step. His wealth is a hollow lie. The castle greets him with silence. A ghost appears from the dark. He demands a lordly feast. The servant offers cold scraps. Arrogance ignite a futile rage. He barks orders at a beast. The world looks down on him. He smashes beauty in his fury. Then, the true horror awakens. A serpent's tongue flickers a warning. He's trapped in a monster's den. Hayes bolts upright, heart hammering. They have to escape this cursed fortress immediately. He prowls the silent corridors, frantic, until he spots Rai's solitary figure. But dread sinks in. Lord Klin is there, looming over her with suffocating intimacy. He tries to scream her name, but his throat tightens. An invisible hand is crushing his voice. Lord Klin continues their conversation, completely unfazed, treating Hayes like a mere ghost. "If my brother fails you, will you despise me?" Rai whispers, her voice trembling. Lord Klin's gaze softens with a terrifying intensity. He tells her never to worry. He pulls her close, his grip possessive. "I always claim what belongs to me," he purrs. Through the haze of his silent struggle, Hayes realizes the truth. The debt was a trap. The monster was only ever after his sister, Rai. Rai prepares to leave, but Klin abruptly cancels their next lesson. A dark custom forbids it. He reminds her of the ancient rule: no one leaves their room on the designated day. Rai questions this strange tradition. Why does the entire manor tremble at the thought of it? Everyone seems to loathe the rule. She wonders what happens to those who dare defy it. His warning is chilling. "If I come to your door tomorrow, do not let me in." Before she can ask why, Klin's eyes snap to the paralyzed Hayes on the floor. Though Hayes fights to move, his body remains a frozen, heavy prison. Klin kisses Rai's hand mockingly. "Why so silent, Hayes? Surely the long journey has exhausted you." That sinister smirk confirms the truth. The Master is responsible for this nightmare. Paralyzed and helpless, Hayes can only glare, burning with a protective, desperate rage. Rai flees the suffocating tension, leaving the two men alone in the shadows. With a snap of Klin's fingers, the paralysis breaks. Now, the real interrogation begins. "This debt is mine! Leave Rai out of this," Hayes pleads, desperate to shield her. He demands to know where she would go if cast out into the cold. "Would you cast her into the streets?" Klin asks. Hayes insists she has a life elsewhere. He plans to marry her off by spring, but Clin's gaze turns suddenly demonic. To whom? Would you dare give her? The master's voice sends Hayes into a trembling fear. Safe in her room, Rai wonders at her brother's strange, silent behavior. She expected a lecture, thinking he was merely being polite in front of the master. She has no idea that Hayes was fighting a battle beyond his control. Lady Mary interrupts her thoughts. By midnight, lock yourself in. Do not come out. Rai asks if something is wrong, but the maid offers only a hollow reassurance. Tell me what you need now, Mary insists. You must not wander the halls tomorrow. The maid leaves, but Rai can't shake the feeling that the manor is drowning in secrets. These so-called customs feel less like tradition and more like a terrifying warning. Being trapped in her room for an entire day feels disturbingly wrong. The castle falls into a deathly hush. No footsteps, no whispers. Everyone has simply vanished. Not a single creature stirs. The silence is heavy enough to choke the air. The whole castle has fallen dead silent, and Clin's earlier words still haunt her mind. She assumes they are hiding the truth because she is merely a temporary guest. Perhaps they feel she doesn't need to know the darkness behind their sacred rules. Despite the mystery, the luxury and Clin's intense, adoring gaze tempt her heart. He looks at her as if she is his entire world. She tries to sleep. Suddenly, a violent crash at the door. Hayes is screaming her name to open up. Her mind races in terror. Why is he here now? Has the nightmare finally begun? Violent pounding erupts at the door. Is he punishing her for getting too close to the master? Hayes stumbles in, sobbing uncontrollably. Terrified, Ray begs to know what has happened. He lunges at her. There's no time. We must flee this cursed castle right now. An icy dread grips her heart. She stands frozen in utter confusion. Hayes drags her toward the exit. Ray cries out, asking if he lost Lord Clin's fortune again. But Hayes scoffs. That money was never anything but worthless paper. She wrenches her hand away. That gold was the price of their safety and shelter. What did you do with it? A sharp slap rings out. Hayes snarls at her audacity. Do you actually believe the master has feelings for a girl like you? Then, the ultimate horror. He reveals the castle is nothing but a devil's lair. Lord Clin is the king of monsters, and he intends to devour her whole. Ray is stunned. Is he drunk, or just a coward fleeing from his own debts? To his shock, she refuses to move. She will not leave. Enraged, Hayes spits a venomous curse. He claims she's been blinded by lies, but Ray insists he must beg Lord Clin for mercy. Where would we even go? There is no place left for them in this world. She loves this castle. But Hayes hisses that the staff are only fattening her for slaughter. It's hopeless. His desperate warnings cannot reach her heart. He grabs her again, dragging her toward the door. You've been bewitched by his darkness. I am your guardian. Obey me. This is their one final chance to escape the beast. Ray stammers, desperately insisting that one of them must offer an apology. But just as her brother prepares to speak, a chilling figure catches his eye. Terrifyingly, when he demands an identity, he realizes only he can see the intruder. In a heartbeat, he flees, leaving Ray behind. She collapses, struggling to process his cruel abandonment. If Lord Cloden finds out, his heart will surely turn to icy hatred. She can't lose him. Deep down, she knew this happiness was never meant to last. Without a miracle, her brother's business was always destined for total ruin. The harsh reality she tried to ignore finally arrived. Realizing happiness was never hers, she sits lamenting. A presence looms behind her. She whispers her brother's name, praying that he has returned. But it's Lord Clin. The way he stares makes her heart race. Does he know everything? Trembling in terror, she asks if he's here to see her brother. She begs for mercy, vowing to toil in the beast's castle to repay her brother's debt. She'll be his most obedient servant, desperate to earn her keep. She still clings to the hope her brother will return. Lord Clin snaps, irritated by her cries. He mocks her as if she is mourning a husband. He kneels, gripping her chin. No matter his kindness, she only speaks of another man. Hearing that name on her lips fills him with nauseating rage. Rai's heart froze. She had never seen the master's gaze burn with such primal, terrifying fury. She begged for her brother's life, but Lord Clin silenced her with a cold, dominating command. Her pleas for mercy were crushed as he recalled his warning. She was never to leave her room. Pressing a finger to her tongue, he growled that her stammers only tempted his darkest, predatory urges. But his darkness had just begun. His iron grip pulls her down, claiming her with a beastly hunger. After Rai finally drifts into sleep, his gaze turns dark and possessive. I've decided, he whispers. I'll never let you escape from me again. Dawn revealed her monstrous host. Look closely, he hissed. forcing her to witness Ray's wretched state while his possessive gaze burned with dark, suffocating intensity. "Gentleness is a luxury I can't afford," he admits. Even Mary would succumb to this darkness if given the chance. Yet she pleads for mercy, begging him to leave Rai in peace for just 2 more months. Furthermore, she fears the innocent girl simply cannot survive the storm of fate fast approaching her life. Before another word can be spoken, the master's primal groan sends a wave of terror through her. She collapses, gasping and begging for mercy. Lord Clowen's demonic power has tightened its invisible, suffocating grip. Her muffled pleas echo while she trembles. Little do they know, Rai is awake, witnessing this chilling nightmare. Upon hearing his name, he abandons his axe and turns, his lips curling into a predatory smirk. How could he smile? Amidst such terrifying darkness, his expression remains hauntingly calm. He looms closer, questioning her silence. Rai recoils, mentioning Mary's screams, but his eyes narrow as she avoiding him. Trapped in his gaze, she stammers an apology, insisting her reaction wasn't intentional. She was merely startled, yet he offers only a cold, silent stare before abruptly rising from the bed. He orders her to eat, ignoring her day-long slumber. But Rai is haunted. How can he ignore Mary's agony? A sickening realization hits her. She seems to be the only person who finds this madness abnormal. Rai stands firm. Her meal is irrelevant. They must tend to the suffering Lady Mary immediately. But as Rai turns, the cook is already standing. How? Just moments ago, she was broken. She moves as if the pain was an illusion. Such is the terrifying reality of forbidden dark magic. Stunned, Rai asks if she's all right. Mary simply smiles, claiming these agonizing fits are perfectly normal. The surreal scene leaves Rai frozen, wondering if her own mind is finally beginning to fracture. Lord Klin interrupts, threatening to fire the cook. Seeing Rai defend another stirs a possessive jealousy within him. A chilling warning follows. She must choose her words carefully while under his watchful, jealous gaze. She questions his coldness, but he clarifies his wrath is reserved for the servant, never for his precious Rai. The cook was a nuisance, but Rai's devotion to her makes his blood boil with newfound rage. He delivers an ultimatum: surrender to him completely and they can finally flourish as true lovers. Before she can respond, the jewelry on her ankle sparkles a glittering mark of her master's ownership. It's his own handiwork, he reveals. Suddenly, Rai feels a pang of guilt. She has nothing to offer. "Your submission is all I require," he whispers. Trapped by his intensity, she softly agrees to his terms. Her sudden compliance leaves him stunned. After the terror he's inflicted, he expected a much different reaction. He expected a strike, a curse, or for her to flee this cursed palace and never look back. Instead, she embraces the beast, devouring her. It's a twisted devotion that both fascinates and irritates his soul. Long ago, a godfather's curse bound Lord Cloden to eternity, a monster imprisoned forever within these stone walls. With that final, cruel decree, the old man perished, leaving Cloden trapped in a nightmare with no end. Initially, Cloden believed breaking such a spell would be a simple feat for a man of his stature. Every effort failed. Now, the world's last wizard realizes the secret of power died with his godfather. It was eventually revealed that the well of magic he possessed was truly bottomless and infinite. Greed took hold. Yet even with infinite power, the heavy shackles of the curse remained absolutely unbreakable. During his cycles of heat, the beast within takes full control, stripping away every shred of his humanity. His presence is a blight, consuming everyone around him. Escape is a dream he can never truly reach. He is a beast on a golden leash. Philip watches him gloomily, asking if his body is failing again. Ignoring his own agony, his only concern is her. "Where is Rai?" he demands with a dark intensity. Learning she's at a picnic, he chooses to stay away, leaving her in peace far from his darkness. Rai wishes Lord Klin could join her, but Mary warns the Lord is consumed by his heavy, secret duties. While alone, Rai encounters a silent gardener and kindly offers her sandwiches to the mysterious, lonely man. Later, in the basement shadows, Philip confronts the gardener, abruptly dismissing him from his nightly watch. A single word falls from the gardener's lips, a sound Philip hasn't heard in over 50 years. Apparently, it seems, Philip warns the gardener that Ray's request for blue roses is a death sentence, just like Hayes. Terror paralyzes Hayes as he begs for a chance to plead his case before the formidable Lord Klin. He promises repayment once his ship docks, or even through a high-interest loan if time runs out. Philip scoffs, thrusting a mirror forward to prove that no one trusts a man with a monster's face. Hayes howls in pure agony, witnessing the grotesque, inhuman transformation that has claimed his features. He wails for a cure, but Philip coldly notes that a spoken curse is etched in destiny. Philip admits his disdain for new arrivals, especially those who forget their lowly place in this house. Then he reveals a horrifying secret, a flickering, snake-like tongue hidden behind his human facade. Having served since childhood, this was Philip's punishment for his one single attempt at seeking freedom. The dark truth is revealed. Every soul in this cursed castle is bound by a blood debt. He warns Hayes that stepping outside these walls will finalize his transformation into a complete beast. Elsewhere, the gardener seeks the Master's forbidden power to bloom blue roses as a gift for Ray. Sensing the Master's dark aura, the gardener quickly apologizes for his bold and selfish request. Surprisingly, the Master provides mysterious potions, his eyes glowing with knowledge that this is all for Ray. Ray finishes her books, her mind wandering back to the enigmatic and brooding Lord Klin. Days have passed without his shadow, and the silence of the castle begins to weigh on her. Though her heart yearns for him, she fears becoming a burden in his dark, busy world. As rain lashes the glass, a flash of blue in the garden sends her racing downstairs. Sheltered by her umbrella, she finds the impossible blue roses blooming amidst the gray storm. She stands breathless. These flowers were a myth her brother claimed could never truly exist. Lost in wonder, she gasps as the gardener silently appears like a ghost behind her. Her umbrella falls as she collapses, terrified that her private whispers reached his ears. He speaks for the first time, offering the roses as a humble thanks for her sandwiches. Lady Mary's sharp cry breaks the moment, demanding Ray return before the cold rain takes her. Fearing a misunderstanding, Ray hurriedly promises the gardener she will explain everything to the lady later. After thanking him, she rushes inside and claims her fall was merely a clumsy accident. While Mary glares at the garden, the Master paces his room like a restless, hungry predator. Haunted by her scent, he obsessively breathes in the clothes Ray once wore in his chambers. During her bath, Ray gently asks Lady Mary if she has recovered from her recent illness. She recalls the lady's pain and wonders if a physician was ever summoned to this estate. Mary dismisses it, but Ray worries there are no doctors in this isolated, cursed place. She urges the lady to take leave and find proper care within the distant city walls. Ray offers to beg Lord Clowen for a carriage, but Mary has forgotten the outside world. Mary's ancient questions make Ray realize the lady belongs to a long-forgotten era of the past. After the bath, the lady silently escorts Ray back to her room and vanishes into shadows. Suddenly, the Master drags Ray into bed, demanding to know why she stayed away so long. At dawn, the Master watches Ray sleep, his gaze burning with a dark, possessive intensity. Within her dreams, Ray is hunted by a monstrous serpent, ready to devour her whole. She stumbles in her flight, noticing the snake possesses the same piercing gaze as Lord Clot. The beast pauses, its cold scales coiling around her as it hoists her into the darkness. After showing her the height of her despair, it drops her, and she wakes up screaming. Breathless and trembling, she tries to shake off the omen of that terrifying nightmare. He pulls her into an intimate embrace, where fear and desire begin to dangerously intertwine. Later, their garden picnic feels like a prison, as Ray's heart overflows with silent resentment. She seethes over his forceful nature, but he coldly blames her for tempting the beast within. His hands roam with renewed hunger, but she sharply warns him to cease or face her wrath. The beast relents, offering a meal instead, leaving her stunned by this flicker of humanity. Captivated by his gaze, she whispers that beneath his thorns he possesses a sweet soul. He braved the storm solely for her sake, a devotion no one has ever shown her before. She was raised to never burden others, yet he tirelessly caters to her every whim. Her heart flutters as she realizes this is why she is falling for him. Lord Clen wavers at her words, but Rai vows to shoulder any burden he carries. He warns her that such kindness will only make his possessive greed grow out of control. "Anything?" he murmurs, tilting her chin up as his dark intensity pins her in place. She tenderly kisses his hand, pledging her absolute soul to his every command. Inside, he trembles. Her pure love is a blade shattering his icy, guarded heart. He only knows how to conquer and steal, yet her light makes his soul feel fractured. He mourns his existence, wishing he could be vulnerable or escape his wretched curse. As shadows cloud his mind, his hand falls away from the only warmth he's known. For the first time in his eternal life, the cold-blooded lord feels the sting of regret. He once only loathed the curse's inconvenience, but now he mourns its heavy cost. The sudden flutter of wings breaks the silence, dragging him back from his dark musings. His face pales with sudden agony, sending a wave of panic through Rai's heart. He pulls her close, declaring it's too late for redemption, he will simply make her like him. Deep in the dungeons, Philip and Lady Mary arrive to move Hayes to a new hell. They coldly announce that it is time for him to pay respects to his master. Hayes plots his move, believing he can easily slaughter these two and vanish into the night. To him, they are merely a frail old man and a defenseless middle-aged woman. One shove down the stairs is all it takes to reclaim his stolen freedom. But Mary shatters his reality, declaring that Hayes is dead, and his name is now John. He screams his true identity, yet she scoffs that Hayes Lisbon no longer exists. She warns him to bow before the master, or face a fate beyond his darkest nightmares. His desperate cries for answers are met with nothing but cold, crushing silence. Rage boils as they treat him like common filth, ignoring his very existence. He is nothing more than a stray dog as they whisper secrets in the shadows. Sensing a momentary lapse in their watch, Hayes prepares to bolt for the exit. Suddenly, he freezes. The unmistakable voice of his sister echoes from the drawing room. She is sharing a tender, romantic moment with the very monster who imprisoned him. Disgust fills him. While he rotted in a cell, she was fawning over their enemy. He storms in to expose the truth, but a magical seal chokes the words in his throat. His tongue is no longer his own, forced to recite the script of a servant. The ultimate horror strikes when Rai looks at him and sees absolutely nothing. He has become a monster. Yet he screams internally for his own sister to recognize him. Philip introduces him as John, the new lowly servant assigned to the castle's chores. "Nice to meet you, John," Rai says, her oblivious kindness shattering his remaining spirit. As they exit, Hayes realizes the weight of Mary's threats was never a joke. He will play the submissive slave, waiting for the viper to enter its winter slumber. Every beast has a weakness, and he will find the perfect moment to strike. Later, Rai wanders the halls and discovers a dusty portrait of a young Lord Clen. He looms behind her, and she beams, telling him how adorable he was as a child. "What kind of child were you?" she asks, seeking the hidden truth of his lonely past. He begins his dark tale. Orphaned by a carriage accident, his godfather kept him at a cold distance, forever unfeeling. His nanny ignored his deeds while others turned away from the boy who felt utterly suffocated. He loathed them all, claiming his only memories are stained with bitterness and fragments of misery. His childhood held no joy, leaving him with nothing pleasant to share with her now. Caressing her cheek, he murmurs that his boredom vanished the moment she finally arrived. Now, she surrenders her very body to him. He kisses her hungrily while she frets about being caught in such a scandalous, heated embrace. Lady Mary walks in, freezing in shock as she drops everything at the sight of them. Instantly, Lord Clen's dark magic surges, catching the falling items with his eerie, invisible power. He reassures Ray they're alone while Mary silently retrieves the floating tray and flees in terror. Their intimacy lingers within the castle walls until a parched Ray begs him for water. As she drinks, John's nagging voice echoes from outside, stirring a strange and familiar feeling. His stubborn attitude reminds her deeply of Hayes, her long-lost and beloved older brother. She wonders if Hayes is safe, never dreaming her brother is actually right outside her door. Her thoughts drift back to the letter for 𝑣𝒂𝒂𝒅, their final, desperate straw of hope. Arriving at this mysterious manor with just that letter feels like it was only yesterday. Her brother brought her here, yet now she is the beastly master's devoted and captive lover. She asks Clen how he knew Elliot, since a simple letter granted them entry to his home. "Why these questions now?" he whispers, his gaze darkening with a possessive and heated hunger. 50 years ago, 𝑣𝒂𝒂𝒅 sought shelter from a storm, entering the manor's forbidden gates. Taking the traveler in, Lord Clen invited him to share a fateful, private dinner. Over wine, the master noted he had heard the noble name of 𝑣𝒂𝒂𝒅 before. Elliot was a refreshing soul, anxiously awaiting a child from his beloved but sickly wife. "You shall have a daughter," Clen prophesied, his voice echoing with a chilling certainty. Stunned, Elliot asked how he knew, but Clen claimed it was merely his predatory instinct. Elliot hoped he was right, dreaming of a daughter who mirrored his wife's radiant beauty. But Clen warned his wife would die, sending Elliot bolting upright in absolute heart-stopping terror. The master then offered a sinister deal to ensure the safe birth of his unborn daughter. In return, the girl must be sent to the master once she comes of age. Terrified, Elliot stood, hoping this was merely a cruel and twisted noble's joke at his expense. Seeing the master's cold gaze, he realized this was a true bargain with a monster. Sinking back, he confessed he only came seeking a miracle medicine for his dying wife. He swore as long as his child was born healthy with 10 fingers, no price was too high. If the master could save them, he had no reason to refuse. Elliot escaped the manor and flourished, living a life that seemed nothing short of perfect. His daughter grew up in joy, exactly as her father had always desperately hoped. He was blessed until the dark promise he made finally began to crawl back for him. The curse haunted every generation until it finally tightened its grip around young Ray. Watching her sleep, the master smiles. He always takes what is rightfully his own. The next morning, Lady Mary is in the kitchen, lost in a silent daze. She can't forget the master's scandalous passion witnessed in the hallway the day before. Ray startles her, prompting Mary to ask why she isn't still with the master. Ray simply replies that she has a question burning deep within her troubled soul. Rai whispers, her voice trembling, "Is love always this? Ravenous? This isn't the fairy tale she imagined." Lady Mary sighs inwardly. The girl's innocence is a fragile, beautiful thing. She doesn't realize she is trapped in a beast's golden cage. Mary forces a smile. "It is just the honeymoon phase," she lies. "Perhaps Master Klin is a bit overwhelming. But it is fine. Just ask him for new shoes, child." Mary knows the truth. As long as Clowen has his claws in her, her life is over. His obsession grows darker with every sunrise. It is terrifying. If she leaves, his rage will burn this entire manor to ashes. Rai holds their lives in her hands. One mistake, and the outcome will be catastrophic. Mary finds Philip. Where is the monster hiding now? She heads to the study, a dark plan forming in her mind. She must act before Rai flees and the blood starts flowing. A little meddling might save them all from his terrifying wrath. She enters. Rai is draped over Lord Clowen like a broken doll. "Master, the lady needs new shoes," Mary whispers cautiously. Clowen's eyes gleam. "Listen to her foolish heart, Mary. She needs a confidant since her brother Hayes has vanished." Mary bows to leave, but his cold voice stops her. "Prepare the carriage. Today, Rai wakes to a surprise." Mary brushes Rai's hair with practiced, trembling care. Rai wonders, is a guest coming to this cursed, God-forgotten place? "No, you are going into town with the master today." Joy flares in Rai's eyes, then dims. What of her brother? Mary stays silent. Rai rushes to find her handsome captor. He waits by the carriage, looking every bit the lethal nobleman. She throws herself at him. He revels in her desperate warmth. Nearby, Philip barks orders at the stable boy. John. John grumbles, a rebel heart in servant's clothes. His stubbornness reminds Rai of Hayes, a ghost of her past life. They set off. But John signals a secret message through the glass. Meet at the woodpiles? A spark of hope flickers in her chest. The carriage moves strangely. Rai looks at Lord Clowen, deeply confused. He claims the horses are trained, a silver-tongued lie. In truth, his dark magic pulls the strings of fate. "We are getting you shoes," he purrs. "I want you adorned in my gifts," he assures her, taking her hand. Rai bites her lip. "I have nothing to give you back but myself." "I am just a burden," she cries. He silences her with a possessive touch. "Do you think you are a debtor?" His voice turns dangerously low. "I never cared about the money Hayes owed me from the start. I bought your brother's debt just to claim you for myself. And now, you are exactly where you belong. In my lap, forever." Rai steps out of the carriage, pouting at his arrogant dominance. "My lady, may I?" He offers his hand. A wolf in sheep's clothing. Hours pass as they wander through the bustling heart of town together. During a quiet meal, Ray offers her gratitude for his lavish gifts, though she fears the extravagance is far too much. He coldly dismisses her hesitation, declaring that no price is too high for the woman who has captured his heart. She nervously suggests returning to the manor, but his intense gaze promises that their evening is far from over. With a devilish smirk, he whisks Ray away to a secluded inn, leaving her wondering when he planned this secret escape. To Ray, love was a distant fairy tale she had only ever heard, whispered by others. Now, the crushing weight of this newfound passion consumes her as they lose themselves in each other's embrace. As dawn breaks, Lord Clowen watches Ray slumber, silently praying their future children inherit her silken hair. Is it foolish to dream? A cursed monster like him, unable to even walk under the sun with his family. He dreads the day she discovers his dark reality, while Philip and Lady Mary watch the carriage pull into the moonlit courtyard. Philip notes that while the Master has always wielded great power, things have certainly changed. The sheer scale of magic he is burning through now is surely tearing his physical form apart. Lord Klin steps from the carriage, cradling a sleeping Ray in his arms like a precious, fragile treasure. He dismisses the maids, choosing to personally tend to her with a possessiveness that borders on obsession. Before Lady Mary exits, a hollow confession escapes the Master's lips. He finally wishes he were just a normal man. Regret, a poison he never knew, now fuels his desperate search for a way to break his eternal shackles. Lady Mary sighs, knowing the entire manor has prayed for his salvation for many decades. After years of failed attempts, he had abandoned hope, retreating to his lab only to numb his unending agony. Yet for her, he is once again chasing the impossible, defying the very fate that has cursed him. Morning arrives, and as Lady Mary dresses her, Ray's mind drifts back to the electric tension of their secret retreat. Life returns to a quiet rhythm, yet every dawn brings a new, lavish gift from Lord Klin delivered to her door. One truth is undeniable. The Master's taste in beauty is as sharp as his legendary blade. Ray gazes at the shimmering gowns with a heavy heart, not out of a lack of appreciation, but because a single dress likely costs more than the crushing debt that bound her to Lord Klin. Lady Mary assures her she is worried over nothing, for the Master would buy the entire kingdom for her. "This is the mark of Lord Klin's devotion," she whispers, a favor that would make any noblewoman green with envy. Feeling a sudden pang of longing, Rai asks where the Master has been hiding these past few days. Her elaborate transformation is all for this moment, a chance to visit him during his rare afternoon reprieve. Bearing a tray of sweets, Ray's heart thumps as a violent crash echoes from behind his closed study doors. Blood drips from his hand, yet he masks his pain, questioning her presence as she offers him a small comfort. She begs to tend to his wound, but his stubborn pride flares up, pushing her away in his frantic work. As she steps closer, his voice turns sharp with warning, fearing the jagged glass might harm her delicate skin. Her temper snaps. She strikes his hand, her voice trembling as she demands to know what secrets he's burying. In the chaos, the ceramic shatters against the floor. Ray drops to her knees, paralyzed by her own sudden outburst. Words of apology spill out as she fears she has finally become the nuisance he cannot tolerate. She turns to flee, but his grip locks around her wrist like iron. "I never called you an annoyance," he growls. "Never speak such lies again." When she tries to retreat, he pulls her closer, his voice laced with desperate insecurity. "Running?" she stammers. "I was only going to find the housekeepers to clean this dangerous mess." He scoffs, declaring that her anger, even her screams, are nothing compared to the fear of her absence. But the moment she tries to pull away, a primal madness claws at his very soul. His mind is a storm of agony and rage, a dark temper that usually keeps the world at a safe distance. He damns his own monstrous nature and begs for her mercy. But Rai sees the man behind the beast. She softly reminds him of his hidden kindness, the way his quiet support gives her the strength to stand tall. He gazes into her eyes, confessing that his every gentle act is driven solely by his love for her. When she fears his heart might change, he warns her that his obsession is only destined to grow deeper. As they talk, he senses a strange tension clouding her usual warmth. Fumbling for words, her fingers graze his wound, and he demands she tend to him personally. His gaze burns as he praises her beauty, asking if this look is for his eyes only. He whispers that just as she hides her flaws, he has a darkness he must keep hidden. Yet, a chilling fear lingers. What if his heart shifts and his love turns to cold indifference? He vows his heart is hers forever, begging that she be the one who never changes her soul. Ray confesses she expected a lifetime of unrequited longing, never dreaming her feelings could ever be returned. This miracle of mutual love is new to her. Why would she ever change this perfect reality? Holding her close, he feels ensnared by a beautiful curse he never intends to escape. Rai explores the garden, mesmerized by unnaturally large blue roses while searching for the elusive gardener, Jack. A sudden rustle in the bushes sparks hope that she's finally found the man she seeks. To her dismay, it's John, who coldly greets her with a formality that feels like a snub. While others use her name, he scoffs, claiming no ordinary human could cultivate such impossible mystical blooms. He crushes a petal, sneering that these blue roses are proof of a monster's foul, unnatural influence. His spiteful words are cut short by a sudden, heavy blow to the back of his head. Jack the gardener lunges, pinning John down in a blur of rage as Ray screams for him to stop. As Jack strikes, a dark thought lingers. Has Rai realized the horrifying truth behind John's poisonous words? Bloodied but defiant, John continues his provocations, claiming he's seen through the gardener's dark, deceptive illusions. Within the castle shadows, Philip prepares to deliver the Master's vital, stabilizing elixir as the air thickens. Master Klin's curse usually peaks under the full moon, but the beast within is awakening far too early. Philip fears excessive magic usage triggered this shift, relying on the medicine to suppress his master's violent urges. He knows the Master endured this cure solely for Rai's sake. Without her, the manor would be drenched. Without warning, the Master tosses a cold iron key, commanding Philip to guard it with his very life. This key creates a sanctuary, an exit for the captive, but an impenetrable wall for any external threats. Mid-instruction, Lady Mary bursts in, her frantic tone alerting them to the chaos erupting in the gardens. Reaching the scene, the Master's voice drips with icy concern as he asks if Ray was harmed. She quickly intervenes, assuring him that Jack halted the violence before the situation turned truly irreversible. He demands to know why she's among servants. She simply wanted to lighten the mansion's heavy burden. He seizes her hand, growling that she must never touch dirt, threatening to maim anyone who permits it. He reaffirms his dark promise. She is to remain untouched by the world's labor or its filth. He desires only to drape her in luxury, treating her like a porcelain doll in a gilded cage. But what happens when his passion cools? Will this devotion turn into a suffocating, loveless prison? Though he vowed eternal loyalty, she feels adrift, unsure of her true place in his dark world. She craves a bond deeper than whim. Suddenly, he snaps her back to reality from her haunting thoughts. Flustered, she blurs out that she only sought the beauty of the roses before the servants appeared. "Did you intend to admire the garden without my presence by your side?" he murmurs dangerously. The servants stand frozen in shock. Their cold master has never shown interest in such trivial, romantic pursuits. Leading Ray away, Lord Klin commands a brutal re-education for the men who dared disturb his peace. Usually, when the curse flares, the medicine is barely enough to restrain the monster's lethal, bloodthirsty rage. They expected a bloodbath, torn tongues, or blinded eyes, yet the master displayed an unsettling, quiet restraint. Philip exhales in relief, while Mary realizes their very survival now rests in Rye's delicate, small hands. But if she ever flees this golden cage, the beast will surely burn the world to ashes. Philip dismisses the dark what-ifs, focusing his cold, judgmental gaze on the pathetic, rambling John. He warns the fool to remember his rank. Only his family's wealth has kept his head attached. Peace is a fleeting dream. As Lord Cloden dines, dark, obsessive fantasies of Ray cloud his mind. He only snaps back when her gentle voice asks if he's unwell. Seeing his beaded sweat, she reaches out with trembling hands. She rushes for cool water to soothe his rising fever. Little does she know, he's fighting the urge to devour her. He struggles to breathe, desperate to hide his monstrous side before the beast within takes control of him. Ray returns, pressing a cold cloth to his skin. She pleads for a physician, unaware of his true agony. Suddenly, he collapses against her, his voice hoarse with a terrifying primal thirst. "One sip. Just one taste might cure me," he growls, pulling her into a suffocating embrace. She trembles, begging him to calm down. He smirks, masking his dark hunger as a simple craving for ice water. His mask returns. He coldly orders her to her chambers, citing the manor's ancient, strict traditions. Ray's heart sinks. She whispers a plea to stay, but he meets her gaze with icy silence. She offers to spend the night by his side. Panic flares in his eyes as he summons his servants to drag her away. At the threshold, he delivers a chilling warning. "Do not open your door tonight, not even for me." Her confusion deepens, but instead of answers, he offers a desperate, hollow promise. "Keep your door locked, and I'll take you wherever your heart desires tomorrow," he vows. Once alone, the curse strikes. Cloden collapses, his blood staining the floor as the beast rages within. Escorted through the dark halls, Ray can't shake the feeling of impending doom. Lady Mary tries to soothe her, claiming it's all part of the master's grand design. They insist his coldness is merely a shield to protect his most precious treasure, her. The heavy door clicks shut. Philip turns the key, sealing Ray inside as he prays for a peaceful night. Silence fills the room, but Ray's mind is a storm of doubt. His secrecy was normal, but this felt like a trap. Why did he look so deathly ill? Elsewhere, panic erupts. The master has vanished from his room, leaving the servants in terror. Lady Mary fears the worst. If the beast finds Ray, there will be no mercy. Philip clings to hope, reminding her of the powerful spells Cloden cast to restrain his inner demon. Despite his words, they rush toward Ray's room, fearing the barrier won't hold. A starving predator and its prey, separated by only a thin piece of wood. Ray wakes, gasping from a nightmare. As she reaches for water, a heavy thud echoes. Lord Cloden is standing right outside her door. His voice is a low, dangerous rumble, asking why she's still awake in the dead of night. He begins to pound on the wood, his demands growing more desperate and frantic. She holds her breath, reminding him of his own command to keep the door bolted shut. He shifts tactics, whispering sweet, honeyed lies about lullabies and holding her close. Ray wavers. Is this a test, or has he truly lost his mind to the fever? She refuses, determined to keep her word. But her rejection only fuels his rising madness. The door shudders under his blows. He bellows accusations, his jealousy flaring like a wild, uncontrollable fire. This wasn't the man she knew. The playful teasing had vanished, replaced by something predatory. He claws at the entrance, a beast denied its prize, before finally slumping against the frame in defeat. "I'll take you to the sea," he whimpers. Why are you being so cruel to me, my love? His voice breaks, dripping with a possessive sorrow that chills her to the bone. Thunder rattles the windows, masking her own sobs as she cowers in the darkness. Suddenly, the hallway goes silent. The heavy breathing stops. Has he finally given up and left? Guilt washes over her. She weeps, screaming through the wood that she didn't mean to hurt him. She confesses her deepest feelings, unaware that the shadows behind her are moving. Strong arms wrap around her. Heaven hasn't forsaken me, he whispers. It sent me an angel. She turns in relief, but the room is gone. They are standing on a moonlit shore, far from safety. How is this even possible? She gasps. But Lord Klin offers no answer, claiming her lips in a feverish embrace. Using forbidden magic to return, he coldly commands her to remain locked away within her private chambers. She recoils in terror, whispering that the man before her is a complete stranger to the one she knew. He leans in, voice low, warning her that like a beast, he won't let go until he is satisfied. Dawn breaks, and Lord Klin awakens in a daze, wondering how he returned after sending Rai far away. Finding her beside him, the memories of his animalistic hunger return, and his eyes fill with bitter regret. Rai stirs from a dream to a tender touch, only to find Lord Clowen watching her with unreadable intensity. Realizing she is still clothed in soft fabric, she looks around, wondering where they have been taken. Suspicion clouds her mind. Why the secrecy? And why were they standing by the roaring, ancient ocean? She was locked in her room, so how did this happen? The mystery gnaws at her very soul. He remains silent, his gaze burning through her before he pulls her close for another desperate, forced kiss. She blocks him, asking if he is a fairy. He freezes, reminded that his inner beast is still ravenous. One night of passion is nowhere near enough to quench the infernal heat within his cursed blood. He views himself as nothing more than a beast, helpless against his own carnal, savage cravings. He deflects, urging her to eat, but she cuts him off, whispering that she sees through his mask. "I love you," she cries, devastated that despite her heart, he remains a complete and total enigma. Clinging to him, she accuses him of manipulating her heart just to trick her into opening the door. He offers no explanation, coldly taking her hand only to force her to let go of him. "We are lovers," she screams, desperate to bridge the distance between their two fractured, lonely worlds. But even as she speaks, his mind is consumed by the hunger to utterly devour her. Driven to the edge, Rai declares her hatred, ending their romance. He simply tells her to suit herself. Tears fall as she realizes her departure does not even cause a flicker of fear in his heart. She does not see the curse. He is holding back a monster that could literally tear her apart. Sobbing, she demands to know if she is just a toy he keeps hidden in the dark. He snaps, ordering her to stay silent before he silences her with a kiss. Is that all? Again, silence is his only answer. With a heavy heart, she retreats, loathing the walls closing in. Within the castle, Lady Mary prepares a meal, heading toward Rai's silent and lonely chambers. Seeing the shattered windows in the hallway, Mary's heart sinks. Her worst nightmare has finally come to pass. Terrified, she rushes to find Philip and John standing guard in the castle courtyard. "She's gone!" Mary shrieks. The master has lost control again, just like the horror of the last time. John pales, his voice trembling as he asks if his precious sister has been taken by the dark. Rage boils over as he demands if the master is turning Rai into a mindless, cursed creature too. Mary silences him, but John retorts that death is better than the living hell they currently endure. Mary mocks him, asking if that is why he tried to flee and leave his sister behind. John denies it, claiming he only sought a way to save them both from this eternal nightmare. Bearing her inhuman tongue, she asks what use his help would be if Rai had already turned. Their heated argument continues to escalate until Philip steps in to intervene between them. "Enough," he sighs deeply. "This petty bickering will not bring the girl back to us safely." Suddenly, Klin and Rai return. Exhausted, she heads for her room, leaving the servants in stunned, speechless silence. They just watch,